I made more gold in Stardew Valley than should be legal. My goal is to make 1 billion gold, and I have made a huge dent in that goal. If you want to know how much I made and how I made it, then this video is for you. Alrighty, let's get started. One of my most reliable money-making processes is the fairy rose honey setup on my Ginger Island farm. I will admit that harvesting all of these bee houses every 4 days is pretty tedious, but it is extremely worth it because this setup makes me about 300,000 gold every 4 days. For some reason, I picked the beach farm for this layout. That was actually a huge mistake because I have very little space to grow crops, so I have to rely on my Ginger Island farm for most of my crops. To make this easier, my entire Ginger Island farm is set up with pressure nozzle sprinklers to maximize space and hyper-speed grow to help my crops grow faster. I also have the agriculturist profession to let them grow even faster. If you do this, just remember to change your profession to the artisan profession before you sell your wine. Again, since I have so little farmland, my entire greenhouse is filled with starfruit. I used to have ancient fruit here, but starfruit just makes more money and I prefer them. If you are looking to absolutely maximize your greenhouse space, this is the most efficient layout. There is only a single sprinkler on the farmable tiles, and I have the most possible trees in here as well. This greenhouse is a big contributor to how much money I can make. This is the only place on the entire beach farm that you can efficiently farm crops. So I just planted some ancient fruit here because they grow in spring, summer, and fall. I just kind of ignore this piece of land and let my Unimos harvest the crops for me. I use the ancient fruit when I run out of starfruit or pineapples. Speaking of pineapples, this is the reason this episode took so long to make. Since I am so limited on farming space, I thought it would be a great idea to make 7 sheds, all filled with garden pots, deluxe retaining soil, and pineapples. Yeah, this definitely solved my problem of not having enough things to place in my kegs and preservation jars. But grinding for all of these resources was basically a nightmare. Even though it took a long time to set this up, it was definitely worth it. If you don't know about this technique, you can place garden pots inside of a shed, place deluxe retaining soil in it, and the crops planted in the garden pot will remain watered forever. It's great. So what do I do with all of these starfruit, ancient fruit, and pineapples? Well, it is simple really. I just turn them into wine with my empire of sheds filled with kegs. Wine is my favorite way to process and increase the value of crops. I think I have like 10 sheds all filled with kegs. It triples the value of any fruit placed in them. Starfruit, ancient fruit, and pineapples are some of the crops with the highest base sell price, so turning them into wine is just a no-brainer. I also have a couple sheds filled with preservation jars in them. I made these quite a while ago because then I struggled to get pine tar, so I just placed the leftovers in these. It is true that preservation jars operate faster than kegs, and in some cases it is technically more profitable, but that is not the case for me because I can't plant enough crops to keep them all filled. To make my starfruit even better, I have 4 farmhouses on this farm, all fully upgraded, and all of their basements are filled up with casks. This is where I turn regular starfruit wine into one of the most expensive things in the game, the fabulous iridium quality starfruit wine. Each one of these sells for 6,300 gold, and with 4 basements, I can age quite a bit of the stuff. The top levels of my cabins have been empty for a long time, but I have finally solved that with crystallariums. These will producing diamonds every 5 days. With a gemologist profession, all of these diamonds make up a massive percentage of my total income. Once you have a bunch of crystallariums, money will never be a problem ever again. I have 3 cabins filled with crystallariums and 2 sheds filled with crystallariums. It might even be more weekly gold than my bee house setup. You might be wondering how I even managed to get this many crystallariums. Well, it's easy, really. Eventually, I made so much gold that I didn't know what to do with it all. So I bought statues of endless fortune at the casino for 1 million gold each. These statues are not profitable and will not make their cost back. However, they can produce gold and iridium bars. I used those bars to craft more crystallariums. I can't believe it took me this long, but I finally sold my coop and replaced it with a barn. Now I have 3 barns all filled with pigs, producing truffles every single day. After much debate, I have decided not to turn these truffles into truffle oil. And the reason for that is because I am just kind of lazy. I also finally decided to sell my slime hutch. I really tried to use the slime hutch in a profitable way, but it was nothing when compared to everything else. So I finally sold it, and this opened a bunch of space on my farm for more sheds. I see you have found my lava eel fish collection. Don't underestimate these fish ponds. Each fish pond can produce between 1 to 3 lava eel roe every single day, and each one of those can be aged and sold for more than 1,000 gold each. So far, I think these did contribute to my total earnings, but I might actually remove these and replace them with more sheds. Yeah, I know sheds are boring, but we will see what happens. Since the 1.5.5 update, the blacksmith profession actually works on radioactive ore now, making radioactive ore incredibly profitable and worth grinding for gold. So whenever I have a slow day, when I don't have too many things to do, and if that day is the best possible luck day, I head over to the dangerous version of the mines and mine as much radioactive ore as I can. Right by the mines is my furnace collection. This is where I turn my radioactive ore into bars. This is a convenient place to put these since they don't take up any space on my farm. Farming for radioactive ore is so good, I could just do this every day and make the same amount of money, but that would be really boring. Okay, so those are all of my money-making methods on this ridiculous farm. I never expected this billionaire challenge to take this long, but it has helped me learn a ton about the game. But it is time to sell my loot and see how much I have made. I have so many things to sell. I have a collection of chests behind my shipping bin. After all of that work, I did it. I made 305 million gold off of one single sale, meaning I am now halfway done with my billionaire challenge. Since each episode doubles the earnings from the previous episode, the next episode will be the last episode. The next episode is going to be great. So hit subscribe, and as always, I will see you in the next video.